All I ever wanted was to treat myself to a trip for my 65th birthday. Instead, my husband dismissed it as nonsense, and my daughter warned me not to stir up trouble. Neither of them bothered to ask what I actually wanted. To them, I was just the help, a maid, a background fixture, an invisible presence in their lives. When I finally went on that trip, Walter took advantage of the situation to bring his mistress home, threw out all my belongings, and yelled, "Get out of my house!" But I only smiled quietly, knowing he had no clue I was already prepared for this moment. Everything started on my 65th birthday. I signed up for a senior tour group trip. When Walter found out, he slammed his fork down onto the dining table, the sharp clatter ringing through the room. "You're too old for this nonsense," he growled, his voice cold and stern, like a teacher reprimanding a misbehaving student. Eliza frowned, her voice dripping with judgment. "Mom, if you really go, who's going to pick up Maisie?" I looked at them both, feeling like I was on trial, guilty only of wanting something for myself. At that moment, something inside me shifted. I'd reached my limit. I didn't want to be just Walter's wife anymore. I didn't want to be only Eliza's mom or simply grandma to Juniper and Maisie. This time, I wanted to be me, just me. Early that morning, I went to the grocery store and loaded 2 heavy bags with ingredients. Today was special. I planned to cook a proper homemade dinner to celebrate. I made Walter's favorite creamy chicken soup and roasted rosemary ribs exactly how Eliza liked them. For my 2 granddaughters, I prepared a special menu: fresh blueberry muffins and caramel pudding. And for myself, I finally cooked something I'd been craving for ages: garlic butter baked crab. Walter took one sip of the soup, scrunched his nose, and muttered, "A bit too salty. Next time, go easy on the salt." Eliza shot him a sharp look, then wrapped her arm around me. "Dad, your taste buds are ridiculous. It's perfect. Mom's cooking has always been my favorite." She smiled warmly at me. "Actually, Mom, we were planning to take you out to a nice restaurant for your 65th. It's just, well, the company had layoffs and my bonus got cut again." I squeezed her hand gently and smiled. "That's okay, sweetheart. Home is cozier anyway. I love having dinner with all of you." Eliza nodded, smiling. "You're right, Mom. Come on, eat more." I smiled back and reached for my fork, ready to dig into the crab. Then my phone rang. The dining room was too noisy, so I stepped onto the balcony to answer. It wasn't a long call, 10 minutes at most, but when I returned, my plate was completely cleared. The crab was gone. Even the shells were taken away, leaving only a few streaks of sauce on the plate. I stood there a moment, scanning the table. Eliza gave me an awkward smile. "Mom, that call took a while. Come on, sit down and eat something." I sighed softly and sat back down, reaching for another spoonful of soup. Walter, clearly irritated, snapped again. "Who was on the phone that long? And while you're at it, pass me the cornbread." He shoved his empty plate toward me. Without thinking, I picked it up and started to head to the kitchen. "It was Nora," I said over my shoulder. "She called to wish me happy birthday." I laughed. "She said we should sign up for a trip together, go to DC, see the Lincoln Memorial and the Capitol. She joked if we don't go soon, our knees won't hold up." That trip had been a quiet dream of mine for years. I'd always wanted to stand before that towering Lincoln statue on the National Mall, to look across the reflecting pool and feel the weight of history. Walter had been there once, years ago, but came back unimpressed. "Nothing special about that place," he'd said. Never once did he ask if I wanted to go. Eliza said she supported me traveling, but always added, "Once the kids start school, we'll make it happen." Well, Juniper's in 5th grade now, Maisie's already in elementary school, but she never mentioned it again. I don't blame her. Her life's a whirlwind of deadlines and chaos. Every day feels like a race against time. Still, I knew deep down that if I kept waiting, it'd be too late. So this year, I gave myself a gift, a trip. To save money, I signed up for a short getaway through the community senior center. 3 days, 2 nights, meals and lodging included. The whole package was just $500. Nora immediately frowned. "I bet that cheap tour will drag you through a bunch of souvenir shops." She grinned and teased. "Who knows? They might lock you in one and force you to buy a fridge magnet." I chuckled and shrugged. "Doesn't matter. We don't have to buy anything. Even if they chatter nonstop, we can just look around and walk away." She shook her head. Iris, you've pinched pennies your whole life, and now, even on your 65th birthday, you won't splurge a little on yourself. I'm happy. That's what matters, I smiled. This trip is my gift to me. Whatever you say, birthday girl has the final word, Nora laughed. Just then, Walter put down his knife and fork, his face darkening as he stared at me. What did you say? You're seriously going to Washington? I hesitated, then said, Yes, I am. He scoffed, anger bubbling over. At your age? Running around like a fool? Stop wasting money. His voice was cold and harsh, like a steel door slamming shut. A chill ran through me. Eliza quickly jumped in. Dad, don't talk to Mom like that. For a moment, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she was finally on my side. But then her next words hit me hard. Mom, just listen to Dad, okay? Cancel the trip. Let's not cause trouble at home. She stood and gently pulled me back to the table, reaching for my plate. But my hand slipped. The plate crashed to the floor, mashed potatoes and macaroni scattering everywhere. Walter slammed the table and sneered, You can't even hold a plate and you think you're fit to travel. The look in his eyes said it all. You've never earned a dime or done anything for this family. What makes you think you deserve to enjoy life? Dad, enough, Eliza said, trying to ease the tension. Mom, clean up the mess, okay? Then eat something. The food's getting cold. But I didn't move. I just stared at the empty plate. Cold? Is there even anything left on this table I actually wanted to eat? Eliza hesitated. Mom, what do you mean? I mean the baked crab I was looking forward to. Did any of it survive? Walter, now furious, grabbed a chunk of crab meat from Maisie's plate and flung it onto mine. You want it that badly? There. Happy now? Sauce splattered across my apron. Walter slammed his fist on the table. If it weren't for the kids, I'd teach you a real lesson right now. Then he stormed off, slamming the bedroom door behind him. I looked at Eliza. Her face had changed. There was exhaustion, maybe even resentment. She sighed, picked up Maisie, and disappeared into her room. My son-in-law Colin stood awkwardly nearby before finally speaking. Iris, you know travel can get pretty expensive. I heard it could cost several $1,000s at least. Did he forget his own parents didn't just visit Washington last year? They also took a luxury guided tour through Europe. Top tier, no shopping stops, $3,000 per person. Of course, Eliza and Colin paid for it all. Trip after trip, flaunting their adventures all over social media, resort pools, French dinners, VIP tours. I sat at home scrolling through their photos, and yes, I was jealous. How could I not be? Colin continued, Of course, we'll definitely make sure you get to travel too, just not right now. But I swear we'll go someday. Yet honestly, when have their promises ever held any real weight with me? It was just a polite brush-off, a convenient excuse to avoid committing. I'd grown tired of waiting around. Colin, I have my own savings, I said softly. I'm not asking for your money. Please don't worry about that. He scratched the back of his neck, clearly uncomfortable. Iris, you know Eliza and I really meant it when we said we'd take you on a trip. Right now, money's tight, but once things improve, we definitely will. I waved him off, cutting him short. I'd heard these hollow promises too many times before. He got the hint and fell silent, leaving a heavy awkwardness hanging in the air. The table was littered with half-eaten dishes. The warmth and cheerfulness had drained away, replaced by a dull coldness. Quietly, I rose and knelt down to pick up the broken shards of the plate I'd dropped earlier. I didn't want Juniper or Maisie stepping on them and getting hurt. But after picking up just a couple of pieces, a sharp ache stabbed my lower back, an old injury I'd been carrying since Maisie was born. Back then, after Eliza had the baby, the entire household's attention was on the newborn. Juniper had retreated that day, hiding beneath the blankets and quietly crying. Sitting beside her, I gently asked, "What's the matter, sweetheart?" Through tears, she whispered, "Grandma, do you and Mommy love Maisie more than me now?" My heart broke in two. I pulled her close. "Of course not. Grandma loves you both, always." From that moment forward, I became Juniper's left arm and Maisie's right arm. Though neither child was heavy, carrying them both for hours each day eventually took a toll. That's how the back pain started. and it never fully disappeared. An hour slipped by and the house fell quiet again. Eliza finally emerged from the bedroom. When she noticed the mess still on the floor, her face tightened. Mom, you haven't cleaned this up yet? What if the kids come out and step on it? I met her calm gaze. You could clean it. Colin could clean it. Your father could clean it. Are all of you toddlers? Is the whole house's work only my responsibility? She froze for a moment, then sat beside me and took my hand softly. Mom, don't be upset. If you don't want to deal with it now, we can clean it tomorrow. Her voice softened. Mom, it's not that I don't want you to travel, but think about it. If you go, who's going to get Juniper and Maisie to school and back? Especially Maisie. She's closest to you. You'll miss her too, won't you? Maybe we should wait a little longer. Once the girls are older, then you can go. I withdrew my hand and held her gaze firmly. Eliza, I've waited long enough. Remember after you had Juniper? You said once she started preschool, I'd have more free time to go somewhere. Then preschool began, but you said the day ended too early and you needed me to pick her up. When Juniper reached first grade, you got pregnant with Maisie. Now Maisie's in elementary school, and you're still telling me to wait. I paused, voice soft but unwavering. Eliza, I'm 65. I don't know how many more wait a few more years I have left. I want to see the Lincoln Memorial, stroll the National Mall. Is that really so much to ask? She dropped her gaze, nervously fidgeting with the hem of her shirt, lost in thought. After a long pause, she muttered, But if you're not here, who'll take the kids to school? I gave a bitter smile. She was wrong. There were plenty of others who could help. Her in-laws were both retired, spending their days lounging at home. They were more than capable of school runs. The problem was, Eliza just didn't want to ask. When she first married, her in-laws had been eager, pressuring her to have children, promising, once the baby arrives, we'll handle everything. You won't have to lift a finger. But after Juniper was born, things changed. Suddenly, they were too old, too tired. Caring for a baby was harder than expected. Within a month, they vanished, making excuses. Eliza came back to me, frustrated and disappointed. I still remember her words clearly. Mom, you're the only one I can count on. Don't expect me to be kind to them after this. I'll always take care of you no matter what. She spoke with conviction. Now she visits them yearly with gifts, pays for their vacations, sends them on luxury trips. That bitterness returned, souring my mouth. I looked at her coldly. Eliza, if you woke up 30 minutes earlier each day, you could take Juniper and Maisie to school yourself. For pickups, take a day off, have Colin take a day off, or ask his parents. Weren't they the ones who promised to help? She stared at me, stunned and speechless. I said nothing more. I stood and walked back to my room. Walter was already in bed, eyes closed, wearing that familiar look, the one that silently screamed, I'm waiting for your apology. In the past, I might have whispered, I didn't mean it like that. I was just talking about a trip. I won't go if it upsets you. But tonight, all I wanted was rest. I switched off the light and slipped under the covers without a word. I'd barely closed my eyes when a sharp pain exploded across my waist. He had kicked me. The impact sent me sprawling to the floor, curling into a ball of agony, breath caught in my chest. Eliza and Colin heard the noise and hurried over, knocking on the door. Mom, what happened? Are you all right? Before I could answer, Walter's cold voice cut through the silence. Stop pretending. Get up already. Don't make a fool of yourself in front of the kids. Eliza opened the door, flooding the room with light. She saw me still curled on the floor. Her steps faltered. She hesitated, almost moving to help, but Walter snapped, Leave her! Let's see how long she plans to keep up the act. Frozen, her hands twitched, but she stayed rooted in place. Swallowing the pain, I slowly pulled myself upright, gripping the bed's edge. I looked at the man I'd spent over 30 years with and felt only emptiness. Our marriage had been arranged by our parents, who praised him as educated, dependable, kind. On their deathbeds, they said, as long as he treats you well, we can rest easy. During the first year, he behaved decently. But after I gave birth, as my body changed, so did his face. He began criticizing me, mocking my lack of education, sneering at how I bargained at the market, complaining about my clothes. But how could I have cared for appearances? I was raising a child, doing laundry, cooking, managing the household. He came home expecting dinner on the table. Where was I supposed to find time, energy, or money to look presentable? He never understood that a refined life takes time and money, yet his meager salary barely covered the essentials. He loved lending money to so-called friends. Not a single cent ever returned. Whenever I asked for the debts back, he'd grimace. They're going through hard times. You want me chasing debts? What about my pride? So I learned to stretch every dollar until it nearly broke. All these years, I shrank myself to fit him. I told myself it was because I wasn't good enough, refined enough, worthy enough. But now I see clearly. It wasn't me. It was him. He was never worth it. Walter, I want a divorce. That night, I said no more. I sat in the living room all night, unable to sleep, staring at my worn clothes quietly. I began packing over the years. I'd bought myself hardly anything new. I'd always told myself to save more, to make things easier for the family. But now I see how completely wrong I was. My entire life had been spent playing roles assigned to others. I became Walter's wife, Eliza's mother, grandma to Juniper and Maisie. Somewhere along the way, I lost sight of who I truly was. Just me. I paused, my eyes landing on that old, worn suitcase beneath the soft yellow light. I didn't want to carry anything else with me. I had made my decision. From this day forward, I would live for myself at last. As dawn broke, I gathered my passport, bank cards, driver's license, and the deed to my house, then stepped out the door. I headed straight to Nora's place. Nora, forget that bargain tour. We're upgrading to the luxury package, my treat. She stared at me, stunned, eyes traveling over me as if seeing someone new. What happened? Who are you and what have you done with Iris? You're not saving everything for your daughter anymore? I smiled faintly and told her everything from the night before. Nora, I've lived such a pathetic life. More than 30 years spent taking care of Walter. And in his eyes, I'm not even human. And the daughter I clung to so tightly? She watched my husband kick me out of bed and didn't even offer a hand. She couldn't bring herself to help. Last night was my 65th birthday, and I didn't get a single bite to eat. My voice caught, tears blurring my vision. Nora gently patted my shoulder. Then this is perfect. You've finally seen the truth. From now on, you owe no one anything. It's time to live for yourself. I wiped my face and stood taller. You're right. Starting today, I'm done carrying their burdens. Let's book that top-tier tour and hit the road. At the airport, just as I stepped out of the car and reached for my luggage, my phone rang. I declined the call without hesitation. Then Eliza called. I hit decline again. Nora glanced at me and gave a thumbs up. That's what I'm talking about. Finally, you're making choices for yourself. Minutes later, my phone exploded with texts, one after another. Walter's first. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. If you dare go to Washington, don't even think about setting foot in this house again. Then Eliza's messages flooded in. Mom, you really left? You're actually traveling? Mom, please don't do this. Dad is furious. Mom, you didn't even make breakfast. Juniper and Maisie are going to be late. Mom, please come back. I glanced at the screen in silence and then switched off the phone. My decision was final. My new life was beginning. And yes, it truly was a luxury tour. Everything was different. The food was exquisite, the lodging plush. Every itinerary seemed tailored just for us. We had reserved entry at every site, no lines, no crowds. A personal tour assistant checked in daily. Within days, Nora and I had sampled the best local restaurants and explored countless museums and landmarks. We stood quietly on the National Mall, gazing at the Lincoln Memorial. We visited the Capitol, the Smithsonian, the charming streets of Georgetown. We walked nearly every iconic path in Washington, D.C. All the weight that had pressed on my heart for so long seemed to lift, carried away by the breeze. Walter and Eliza never called again, probably hoping silence would bring me back. But they didn't know this time. I wasn't going back. During the trip, I contacted a real estate agent to start selling the old house my parents left me. It wasn't large, but it was in a prime downtown location. There was a strong chance a developer would buy it soon. The agent estimated its value at around $600,000. I'd always planned to transfer the deed to Eliza one day, but now I'd completely changed my mind. Just living off the interest would be more than enough for me to live comfortably. Why should I continue punishing myself for people who never truly valued me? I'd meant to list the house while on the trip, but the agent said they'd need updated photos after I returned, so I held off. I thought Walter and Eliza might at least wait for my return before making any moves. But on the fifth day, Eliza began texting again. "Mom, when are you coming home? I feel like I have a new mom already. Darla next door is practically moving in." Nora and I didn't cut our trip short. We spent a full 10 days enjoying ourselves before reluctantly boarding the plane home. As the plane climbed, the city, rivers, and people below shrank to a tiny map beneath us. Nora turned to me. "So what now? Are you really going to get a divorce?" I shook my head slowly. "Nora, I'm 65. Most of my life is behind me. I refuse to keep living in misery." She nodded. "If things get rough, come stay with me for a while." I arrived home around 3 p.m. I walked up to the door, key in hand, only to realize it didn't fit. Looking closer, I saw the lock had been changed. I stood there, still holding the key, a strange haze settling over me. Behind this door was the home I'd poured my life into. For a brief moment, I thought about calling Walter or Eliza to let me in. Then I changed my mind and called a locksmith. Luckily, I had the deed with me. Once he verified ownership, he started working. A new lock was installed just a few days ago. The locksmith muttered. "And now you're changing it again? You folks sure know how to keep things exciting." Within minutes, the door was open and a new lock fitted. But the moment I stepped inside, I froze. All the family photos of me with Walter and Eliza, gone. My clothes vanished from the closet. Toiletries missing from the bathroom. Even the small handcrafted decorations I'd placed on the bookshelf were nowhere to be found. It was as if I'd never existed in this house at all. I stood there stunned until a voice broke through behind me. "Why is the door open? Did someone break in?" I turned around. It was Darla Boone carrying grocery bags. The same Darla Eliza had mentioned. The woman supposedly replacing me. I didn't know what message she'd sent, but it wasn't long before Walter and Eliza came rushing home. The moment Walter saw me, he let out a cold, sarcastic snort. "So you finally remember how to come home? Didn't I tell you? If you left, don't bother coming back. You're not welcome here." I was about to retort when Eliza quickly pulled me into the kitchen. "Mom, where have you been?" she whispered sharply. "You have no idea how chaotic things have been without you. No meals, no one to take the kids to school, the house is a mess. And the moment you left, Darla stepped right in. She's practically replaced you." She glanced at me, her eyes full of subtle blame. "Mom, I'm warning you, Darla knows exactly how to stay on Dad's good side. You better watch yourself." I pulled my hand away and looked into the living room where Darla arranged flowers as if she owned the place. Walter stepped protectively between us, shielding Darla. "What are you staring at? If not for Darla, this house would have fallen apart. This is all your fault. You ran off thinking only of yourself, leaving us behind. We had no choice but to rely on her." Then his tone shifted, eyes narrowing. "Iris, didn't you say you wanted a divorce? Then what the hell are you doing back here?" I smiled coldly and deliberately. "I came back to claim what's mine. Don't forget, Walter, this house belongs to me, not you." Darla froze, her face paling. "What?" she blurted. "Walter, didn't you say this house was yours?" Walter's face went pale. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Calmly, I pulled the deed from my bag and handed it to her. "See for yourself whose name is on this house." She took the deed, scanned it briefly, and then fell silent. After a moment, she turned and left the room without another word, not even sparing Walter a glance. His face flushed a deep, angry red. Fueled by rage, he kicked the couch, sending everything on the coffee table crashing to the floor. "Fine, Iris, you win. You bitter, ungrateful old hag. I'm divorcing you." I didn't flinch. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. Eliza, shocked and panicked, hurried over to intervene. "Mom, you're 65. Getting divorced now will make you a laughingstock. And nothing even happened between Dad and Darla. You misunderstood their relationship. He only brought her here to provoke you. Dad still cares about you. Just swallow your pride and apologize. Let's go back to how things were. I yanked my arm free, my eyes sharp and icy as a knife. Eliza, did you know the locks on this house were changed? Did you know all our family photos were taken down and thrown away? Did you know your father threw out everything that belonged to me? My voice was cold, each word precise and heavy. Eliza, I raised you for 30 years, and this is how you repay me? With silence and betrayal? You watched everything he did and said nothing. Now you want me to apologize? Fine, listen carefully. I'm not just divorcing your father. Starting today, I'm cutting ties with you too. The next day, I met Walter at the law office to sign the divorce papers. He sat there stone-faced, sullen and bitter, refusing to look at me. I stared back and said, "What's the matter? Having second thoughts about losing the uneducated old hag you mocked all these years? Come on, Walter. If you've got any dignity left, stop acting tough. You wanted this divorce. So sign." His face flushed scarlet, jaw clenched tight with fury. "Fine, I'll sign right now." Eliza hovered nearby, trying desperately to hold him back, but this time, no matter how she begged, she couldn't stop him. After signing, we filed the divorce application at City Hall. The clerk informed us there'd be a month-long wait before it became official, pending court approval. As I heard those words, I silently counted down the days, eager to be free. Walter, however, wore that arrogant smirk, scoffing as we left. "Iris, you better not regret this. Once divorced, what will you have? No income, just your pitiful savings. Without me supporting this family all these years, you'd be starving. Mark my words, you'll be begging to come back within a month." I said nothing. But the clerk behind the counter couldn't help but chuckle. "Real-life bitter ex-husband drama. Ma'am, congratulations. You're finally free." I smiled calmly and confidently. "Thank you." Walter stormed off, slamming the door behind him. I walked the other way and sent freshly taken photos of the old house to the real estate agent. That small downtown place was now worth nearly $600,000. Without hesitation, I told the agent, "Lower the price a bit if you have to. I just want a quick sale." I added, "Technically, the house is mine, but my ex-husband and his people are still living there. Might not be easy to clear out." The agent was unfazed. "Don't worry. We've dealt with situations like this plenty. If the price is right, buyers can handle anything." Sure enough, just days later, the agent messaged me. Someone was interested. Even better, they paired me with a buyer experienced in handling difficult tenants. When I met him, I understood why. The man was huge, broad shoulders, tattoos trailing down both arms and across his back. I barely reached his chest. His voice was rough but straightforward. "Lady, I heard your situation. Don't worry. Once this place is mine, I'll make sure those people move out fast." I couldn't help but laugh. He looked tough, but I liked his honesty. We signed the contract quickly. Walter must have caught wind of this through the agency because that's when the calls started. I ignored every single one. Why didn't I block his number? Because I wanted him to lose his mind. I wanted him to keep calling until his fingers cramped, knowing he'd never get an answer. Just picturing his frustrated face was satisfaction enough. Then Eliza started calling too. I ignored her just the same. Eventually, they switched to text messages. Walter's text came pouring in. "Iris, did you really sell the house? Where am I supposed to live now? I'm warning you, even if you sell it, I'm not leaving. I'll squat here if I have to. Pick up the damn phone. If you don't, I can't promise what I might do. Who is this buyer? He brought people to evict us. I'm calling the cops. Iris, I'm with Darla now. It's too late to come crawling back." Then Eliza's messages followed. "Mom, did you really sell the house? What about me and the kids? Mom, please don't ignore me. I know I was wrong. Juniper and Maisie keep asking when you're coming home. If you come back, I'll make Dad apologize in person. I swear, I'll never let Darla step foot in the house again. You're the only mom I have." Regret it? Too late. The truth is, I always knew Eliza could tell right from wrong. She just lacked the courage to face it. She knew Walter controlled the family finances. To her, he was the household's pillar. No matter how wrong he was, the whole family revolved around him. Me? I was just unpaid help. Housekeeper and caretaker. Who cares if the help feels hurt? Only now, when she realized I was serious about divorce, did she start to panic. She wasn't scared of losing me. She feared Darla would swoop in, claim Walter's pension and remaining assets. So she played the repentant daughter, hoping I'd return and restore the old order. But I didn't reply to any of their messages. I read them, then left them unread. Until the court finally sent the official divorce decree. That day, I sent Walter one message. It's time. We're going to pick up the divorce certificate today. After 30 days apart, Walter looked like a different man. The once sharp, impeccably dressed man now stood before me in a wrinkled shirt. His hair had gone noticeably gray, and even his socks didn't match, one brown, one gray. When he saw me, he froze. It took him a moment, then he muttered, "Iris, why do you look so stylish?" That's right. Over the past weeks, I started yoga, skincare treatments, a new haircut, and wore clothes that fit well. Who says getting older means fading away? Let's go. No more talking, I said flatly. Walter hesitated, his mouth moving as if to say something, but finally spoke. Maybe we should get back together. I don't want you to regret. I glanced down at his mismatched socks and let out a cold laugh. Regret? The only thing I regret is not leaving you sooner, Walter. Don't make me lose even more respect for you. And just like that, we received our official divorce papers. The house was mine. It had been my property before marriage, so I kept it all. As for shared assets, there was hardly anything. We split a small amount of savings, each taking less than $10,000. When the paperwork was finalized, sunlight poured through the window, warming my shoulders like a medal of freedom. Walter kept his head down, expression unreadable. I didn't spare him a second glance. He and Eliza thought without their financial support, I'd crumble and crawl back. What they didn't know was I was now making more money than both of them combined. It all began on that trip with Nora when we happened upon a street performance contest. A young man with a microphone was calling out to the crowd. Anyone want to jump in and finish the lyrics? Every correct song nets you $100. Before I could react, Nora nudged me forward. Iris, don't forget, you were the golden voice of our town back in the day. The young man grinned and handed me the mic. All right, ma'am, let's see what you've got. Finish the lyrics and win some cash. He started singing. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. Without missing a beat, I replied, kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. His eyes lit up. Wow, you know this one. He continued. But I smoothly finished. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong, and I grew strong, and I learned how to get along. By then, a crowd had gathered, murmuring their admiration. The young man was ecstatic. Oh my God, ma'am, you're incredible. You should record an album. It wasn't the first time I'd heard that. When I was younger, people often complimented my voice. I still remember one night after a local community show, a man approached me, introducing himself as a talent scout. He said I had potential, that I should audition and pursue music professionally. Iris, he said, your voice is powerful. You belong on stage. I was tempted. That night I told Walter about it. His face darkened immediately. He snapped. Women who chase that kind of life are never respectable. If you even think about it, I'll divorce you. So I swallowed my dreams and let the chance slip away. I still recall the look the scout gave me before leaving, eyes full of regret and disappointment. But fate is strange, isn't it? Decades later, here I was again, clutching a microphone. The crowd had grown larger. I kept singing, I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. The applause drowned out the background music because this wasn't just a song. It was the sound of my rebirth. In that moment, I felt like the young woman I once was, the one unbroken by duty, trapped no more in a suffocating marriage, still dreaming, still burning with fire, finally free. That day, I lost count of how many songs I sang. By the end, my throat felt raw and on fire. After the performance, the young man approached me. Ma'am, would you be interested in joining our band regularly? I own a bar and we'd love to have you sing a few songs every night. We'll pay you monthly. I smiled. Why not? Let's give it a shot. 30 years ago, I was stuck in the kitchen weighed down by duty, chained to a family that never saw me. Now I was finally standing on a stage that belonged to me. From then on, I became a regular at the bar, singing, chatting, sharing stories. Within a month, business improved significantly. People came just to hear me sing, drawn by the stories I told between songs, and I received my first paycheck, $6,000. At first, I wanted to refuse. It felt like too much. But Lucas, the young man from the street performance, said simply, "Iris, this is only the beginning. What you bring is worth far more." I thought my connection to Walter was severed, clean, and final. But then he found a video of me singing, posted by a fan on social media, and the calls started. Messages, voicemails, one after another. I didn't answer a single one. Eliza began texting too. Eventually, she had Juniper and Maisie send voice messages. "Grandma, I really miss you. Are you not coming back for me?" "Grandma, I'm Maisie. When will you come back? I want to see you." Eliza's message followed. "Mom, I know you're angry with me and Dad, but please don't take it out on the girls. You raised them yourself." She wasn't wrong. I had raised Juniper and Maisie with my own hands. How could I not care? So I agreed to see them, but on one condition: Walter could never know. Eliza agreed immediately. We met at an amusement park. Juniper and Maisie laughed joyfully on the carousel, faces glowing with happiness. I stood nearby watching them, feeling my heart soften. Eliza sat next to me, speaking quietly. "Mom, can you forgive me? Since you left, I've realized just how much you did for this family. Breakfast doesn't cook itself, floors don't clean themselves, homework doesn't teach itself. I'm sorry, truly." I was silent a moment, then asked calmly, "What about your father?" She looked down. "If you don't want to see him, we'll move out. I promise he won't come around." But I knew the truth. Eliza believed her father controlled the money and didn't hesitate to take his side. She ignored everything I endured. But now that I had money, that power, suddenly she remembered me, willing to turn on her father to keep me close. I smiled faintly, shaking my head. "Eliza, I'll send you money every month, but only for Juniper and Maisie, and I want to see them whenever I choose." She paused, surprised, then asked, "Mom, why don't you just move in with us?" I smiled again. "No, I'm fine. I like my life. Living alone suits me." I could tell she didn't like those terms. But she wasn't foolish. She knew if she refused, she'd get nothing. In the end, she nodded. And my popularity kept growing. Lucas paid me every month like clockwork. Never late. He'd even visit during holidays with flowers and thoughtful gifts. With every new season, Nora and I set off on new adventures. Price didn't matter anymore. We chose only the best, most luxurious tours. Nora would laugh. "My best friend is finally rich enough to spoil me." We traveled mountains and rivers, laughing all the way. For the first time, life was gentle to me. The next time I heard about Walter, it was through Eliza. He'd eventually married Darla. Though he lost the house, he got by on his pension. What he didn't expect was Darla drowning in debt. Soon after their wedding, collectors started calling Walter directly. He drained his savings trying to pay them off, and one panic-filled day, he slipped and broke his right leg. While he was still hospitalized, Darla packed up and vanished, never looked back. After his discharge, Walter was alone. He called Eliza, begging her to care for him, but this time, she said no. She stood before me and said firmly, "Mom, I'm with you, always." I said nothing, just handed a box of chocolates to Juniper and Maisie, who looked up and burst into happy giggles. That's life. Sometimes when you think one story ends, another quietly begins. I kept singing at the bar night after night, old songs, new songs. Some said my voice reminded them of childhood kitchens, sunlight on windowsills, their mothers humming at the stove. Others said they only came for a drink but stayed for the songs and stories. I realized this might be the most beautiful part of life. You don't have to move mountains to make a difference. You just have to live honestly, and that's enough to bring light to others. Soon, I was invited to community events. Even local TV wanted to feature my story. "From housewife to singer," their headline read. I smiled. I wasn't anyone's inspiration, just a woman who finally took back her life. Sometimes Eliza would bring the girls over to visit me. Juniper liked to help tidy the garden, while Maisie munched on sunflower seeds and begged, "Nana, sing that song again, the strong woman one." She meant "I will survive." I smiled, cleared my throat, and started singing. They joined in, their voices blending through my small living room, filling it with warmth and laughter. Nora still came by often. We'd sit on the balcony, sipping tea and dreaming up our next getaway. So, where to next? Germany? Switzerland? Maybe a road trip across America? I smiled and replied, anywhere as long as it's not a road back. She laughed. You, my friend, are a legend now. I shook my head softly. Not a legend, just free. I love this life I've built. I love waking up without tiptoeing around someone else's mood. I love living without the fear that my dreams will be mocked, crushed, or ignored. I even started writing, pouring my story into a book. A book for women still trapped in silence, for those like I once was, held captive by marriage, family, and duty. To tell them, you can start again. 60 isn't the end, it's when life truly begins to bloom. My name is Iris Sands, 60 years old, divorced, a singer, a woman who earns her own living, a woman who finally found her way back to herself. This name, this life, I've only just begun to cherish it. Sunlight streams through the window. A breeze lifts the curtain. I pick up the microphone, ready for tonight's show. Hello, everyone. This is Iris. Let's sing something beautiful today. Life moves forward, but I am no longer the same.